It's okay if it's taking a while or it's not quite working the way you think it should. Give yourself a break and trust that you are in relation. You are relating. So this is why it is so important to honor the subtle relationship that you don't see, that you don't feel, that you're not aware of in this body. Because many parts of you are aware, and most of you is aware. Because it's impossible not to be in relation. It's a circuitry of love. It's a circuitry of love. Welcome back, friends. Ava Orah here for episode 2 of this fascinating series on spirit guides. If you haven't listened to episode 1, you can go back and do so. And this one, they each stand on their own as well. So here you are, episode 2. And today we're really going to be talking about spirit guides in the sense of, how do I know if I'm connecting to my spirit guide? How do I know it's not just my ego? Or why can't I hear it at all? Or what is the, I don't see anything? That's often the thing that people say, I don't see my spirit guides. They're not connecting with me, or I can't hear them. You know, that's what I hear from people. And so I'm tempted to just let DiYeena take the reins on this one. For those who are new here, welcome. My name is Ava, and I channel a being named DiYeena, who's from the Pleiadian Family. And that's actually the unique perspective that this series is bringing into the field, is that we're not just having a spiritual teacher give you information on how to connect with your guides, although that's helpful and great. We're actually bringing in a guide to give a guide's perspective on the relationship between humans and guides, which has been pretty fascinating already, just asking DiYeena some of the questions. So we're going to ask some more, and we're going to actually dive into the perspectives around how to actually hear the guides and how to actually know if we're connected and know if we're listening and all these kind of things. So to start, how do you know if you're connected to your guides? Well, first of all, to know how to connect to your guides specifically, you have to know how you receive. You have to know how you receive. Everyone receives in a different way. Some people see. Some people hear. Some people just have a knowing or a voiceless voice or just this feeling in their body. So you have to kind of have a sense. Those are the main ways. There are some other ways through smelling and, holding objects and things like that, and tasting. But really, any of the sensory ways are typically the ways that we receive information. They're all available to every single one of us. We all are that's all coded within our DNA. So we all have the ability to be intuitive in this particular way, to be in connection with our guides, which we all have. And if you haven't heard it, go back to episode 1 to hear more about the details of, do we all have guides, and how do we know, and how does that all work, even just the process of guides in general. So that's all in episode 1. But here in episode 2, it's like, how do I actually receive? So knowing how you receive is key, because if you keep thinking, well, I don't see anything, I don't have visions, I don't have these detailed dreams like some of my other friends do, and they see all this stuff, and so I must not be that good at it, I must not be intuitive. And the truth is, it's probably just not your primary way of intuiting. It's probably just not your way of receiving. We all usually have a primary 1 or 2 or more ways, but usually 1 we're all kind of given as like our go-to. And then more and more begin to kind of open up or unlock as we allow it, as we make space for it, because these are just codes in the DNA that are ready and waiting to be activated within us. So we have all these different ways of receiving. Knowing your particular way is key in this process of connecting with your guides. It's key. You have to know how you receive. So pay attention. Do I hear messages, like actually hear it? Do I hear sounds? Do I hear melodies? Do I smell? Do I have a sense of smell? Like, oh, I smell rose in the air. I smell vanilla. These are, whenever you have a sense of smell, you can smell something in the air, especially if it's a sweet smell. Those are often indications of a presence of an angelic being. And so just having this awareness of how you receive information can be super helpful, super helpful. And for others, you actually just have it. It's all in your body. You know it because you feel it, in whatever way you do it, whether it's in your heart or your gut, you have this sense because you can actually feel it, or you get the tingles all over your body, so we all have it in a different way. And for others, and this is kind of my way, is I just have a knowing, like a direct knowing. And so I can actually, it almost comes out like a thought, which can be confusing if you let it. If you let your ego be confused, it will, because it doesn't feel or look or seem any different than thinking in the beginning. And so it can actually be like, well, how do I know? How do I differentiate this energy from just thinking, right? And so the answer to that is really in the relationship itself, in the circuitry itself, in your intention. And are you connecting into a guide, or are you just having a random thought? Right. So that's the differentiation, is oftentimes, sometimes they're actually screaming at you and really trying to get a hold of you. And if you're having that sense, trust it, right? Trust it. And so that's really, really the way, is actually kind of getting a clarity of, how am I receiving? How do I like to receive? And then here's the other thing. They are so ready. Your guides are so ready. Whether it's your elevated ancestors that have walked this earth, who are now like literally in your blood lineage, who are holding true to like wait for you to break the family pattern, or whatever it is that the mission is there, that they're kind of there in support for. Whether it's them, or whether it's a specific angelic being, or it's just a guide that you love on a soul level that you've agreed to do this with, or whomever it might be, they have many. Or your protectors, they're all there in the frequency, and they're waiting for you, literally waiting for you to pay attention, for you to show up to the relationship. So it's similar in the sense of like, are you actually available for a relationship? It's not any different than humans, to be quite frank about it. It's not that different than having a relationship with a partner or a friend or a loved one. It's similar. There's a circuitry there. There's a movement of flow of energy, hopefully loving, right? And that is true with any healthy relationship. Is there's energy, there's give and take, there's reciprocity, there's connection. You call them, you check in, you talk to them, you make love. It's like whatever the relationship is, you're engaged with it. You're active in it. Right. So it's not like a friend that you used to have 10 years ago, and then you call them up for a favor. How likely do you think they're going to be to just do a random favor for you when you haven't even said hi in 10 years? Right. And so it's similar and different in the same way with our guides. It's like there's a desire to be in relationship. There's a desire to be in circuitry. So starting by knowing how you connect is really the first step in that, is knowing, how do I like to receive? And you might not have an idea of that. And so then the question is, am I willing to just start making this a priority? Like, do you actually desire to connect with your guides? I would hope so, if you're bothering to tune into this series, and you must have at least a desire to do so. And if the desire is strong enough, then the invitation is to simply create that time, make that circuitry, start saying hi in the morning when you wake up. Say, I don't know who my guides are. I don't know what your names are. I can't hear you. I don't see you. But something in me knows that I must have guides. And so I'm just saying hi to you and thank you. Even though I can't see you, can't hear you, don't know if you're there, don't know if you're real. Just trying it out. And just treat it like an experiment, but be in conscious relationship, be in the exploration, be in the devotion, be in the devotion of it, be in the actual energetics of what it feels like to go into that frequency. So that's what we would suggest here in terms of how to actually begin to know if you're even tuning in, right? And so that's actually like, how do we know? And we go deeper into the series of the subtleties of discernment and boundaries and who you're talking to and all these things. But really, we got to start at the basics here. And actually, how do we actually even receive in the first place? How do we start to even tune in? And so start by allowing yourself to tune in, just start by setting the intention that I am open to receiving. I am open to receiving, and just be curious about what that is for you. Journaling can help with this, especially if you do some free form. Meditation is great for this because that is a receptivity, that's a receptive energetic anyway. So get into a meditative state. Give yourself a meditation practice, that gift of daily silence that gives you the ability to get quiet enough to receive the message. So you have to be willing to get in the silence before anything is going to really stick, because it's going to be really hard to discern once you start being more open to the messages if you're not anchored in the silence within it all. So get into a silence practice, whatever that looks like for you. It can look very active on the outside. Could be a walking meditation, could be running. I used to be a distance runner. I used to go for miles and miles and miles, and that was actually a silence practice for me because I would be getting into the zone, and that actually took me, into a quiet mind and into a stillness within my body. So find the stillness practice that gets your mind still, that gets your mind focused, that gets your mind clear. That is really, 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 really foundational to this whole process. Is there has to be a still point within you so that you have that anchor point and you can really begin to trust yourself. And then when you are in conscious choice with different frequencies of circuitry, you are actively making that choice. Saying, I am going to connect with DiYeena today. And I am really aware of what that frequency feels like. Like I know that thread in consciousness so intimately that's why she comes in and out so quickly, because I'm so attuned to that frequency, right? And so getting attuned, but that's also because I spent 20 years meditating for 6 hours a day, and so I got really good at getting quiet enough to receive. And I'm not saying that it has to be for that long or for that intense, but it does give you that foundation. So find a way to create that foundation for yourself. If you're really serious about creating a healthy relationship with your guides, there has to be a stillness practice that anchors you into it all. So that's what I'll share. Now, we'll bring in DiYeena and hear what she has to share on this topic. And if you got some tea, you know that she likes her tea. So I've got some green tea, some matcha here for her with a little vanilla. So a little different than their cacao and other things. So today we've got matcha. So what are you drinking? Where are you from? The typical questions here. And for those of you who are new, you're going to want to bring some tea with you to these little moments, because we like to have a little tea ceremony here with DiYeena. She likes to open the heart circuitry through the water and through the herbs of the earth. So come join. It's really sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and go right out and put you in touch with DiYeena, the Pleiadian Family. Here we go. Greetings. This is DiYeena, the Pleiadian Family. We are here to bring the love, and I'm also to sip the tea and talk about the guides. Here we are. So let's drink together. Let us know where you are and what you're drinking. And here we go to a little moment of opening the hearts, connecting into one another, seeing where we are together, and really moving in consciousness in a cohesive way. So here we are together. Very good. Okay. So how are you, my dears? This is very good, you see, because you're getting the frequencies here to get into alignment, to be able to receive the frequencies that your guides are here to offer. So your guides, we will share this about it, is also bringing in frequencies that are necessary. Well, necessary may be a strong word, but are helpful for you in your particular journey. So not only are they here to work with you, give you messages, help you out along the way, but their circuitry is actually healing for you. If you allow it, if you like it, you see, we're here to provide loving frequency to your form, and it's also a gift of exchange of love. So when you bring your gratitude, when you bring your flowers, when you bring your incense, when you bring whatever it is that we like, everyone different, same as humans, you see, you can ask, what do you like? They might surprise you. Oh, I like oranges, or whatever they might say. DiYeena like tea, you see. So you never know what we're going to say here about what we like, but bring what we like. Not because you have to, because your heart desires the experience of receptivity, of connection in circuitry. And what that is it activates the availability of the love to move between the frequency, the circuitry of frequency, in a clean way. So then both are getting elevated, both are receiving the gifts and the blessings that one another brings to the relationship. You see what we say? So then you are helping to uplift, and you can do it with a little prayer. You light a candle, say, may this light uplift your spirit. May it bring you joy. May it elevate you, you see. May it give you a good boost to your day. May it brighten your day. In the same way, you see, we're bringing forth the healing frequencies for your form, for your heart, for your energetic body, for your emotions, wherever it's needed. So it's available. You see, it's a circuitry of love. It's a circuitry of love, you see. And so everyone's always wondering, well, I can't hear it, I can't see it. But you have to understand that's the densest version. That's 3D. That's the one where you can actually see us. That's the one where you can actually hear us. That's the one where you can actually play cards with us or give a high five or something like that. We're not going to manifest into the third dimension, usually, you see. That's very, very dense and not really our role, you see. But to limit your experience of us to it has to be matching in 3D is limiting the relationship altogether in the perspective of what's actually happening. Because in reality, you are infinite in your multidimensionality. So even though your 3D body, your 3D meat suit might still be too dense, or you're pretending it's too dense to hear us or see us or feel us, it doesn't mean that's not happening. It just means you're not aware of it in this dimension, in this form. But you have a 4D and a 5D and a 22D and on and on and on, you see. And those aspects of yourself are very aware of us and having a ball, having the time of their life, you see. So also trust that just because your 3D body is not able to receive does not mean you're not in relation with us. Because it's impossible not to be in relation with all. It just when you get to a certain density, we forget a little bit. That's all it is. So give yourself a little bit of a break is what we're saying. Just because you have forgotten how to connect in on this particular frequency of this particular way, it's also a little challenging because it's 3D and then we're going and jumping into wherever the heck we're hanging out, 13D or whatever, you see. 7D for many, you see. But whatever it is, you see, there's an ask of a jump in frequency of dimensionality to even connect in. So we're asking you to come over to our side most of the time. Then sometime we jump over and give a little nod through a license plate or something to even out the playing field a little bit. But it's usually you coming up. So it's okay if it's taking a while or it's not quite working the way you think it should. Give yourself a break and trust that you are in relation. You are relating. So this is why it is so important to honor the subtle relationship that you don't see, that you don't feel, that you're not aware of in this body. Because many parts of you are aware and most of you is aware. This density part is actually way less of a percentage of who you are, but it happens to be where you're focusing most of your attention. So give yourself a little bit of a broader perspective of just even entertaining that idea. Saying, well, most of my energy is right here in the 3D and worrying about all these problems of this 3D, about what my body looks like, about who my friends are, what my family is doing, what my job looks like, what my family life is like, what my relationship is like. We're dealing with all these level of details. And then so much of who we are is hanging out in all this subtlety. But just as equally important, my dears, you see. So just pretend. Here's a little tidbit for you. Just pretend. Say, we're going to play a game today and just pretend that all of me is connected in and I can hear and see and feel and touch and smell all of the relationship that I have with all of those unseen team, my unseen helpers, those that are of my highest good, that are of love, that are really voting my victory for the highest good here. That those that are there and that I have agreed to in the free will to be my helpers, those ones are the ones I'm choosing, and I am actually consciously choosing to just be in connection with. And whether you feel it in this world, don't worry about it. Just say, well, I'm hanging out over there and we're probably eating some popcorn together, you see, or sipping some tea together or whatever, you see. Not literally, because it's not the right dimension, but you get what we say. You're having a party. You're having a party. You are in circuitry. So build the circuitry in this dimension by simply being in your heart and acknowledging us. That's all. It's simple. Just say, hello, guides that I have no idea are real or fake or I can't see or hear. How are you doing? You see. Oh, don't hear anything, but hope you're doing good today. I love you and I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for everything you do for me. Or not, you see. You can play some jokes too, you see. We like to laugh. We hope you do too, you see. It doesn't have to be so serious. Some guides are more serious than others. You can see how serious this one is, you see. It doesn't have to be so heavy, you see. So give yourself a break. You don't have to put it all into this dimension and have to have it all aligned here. Remember your multidimensionality. Remember your infinite nature, you see. And trust that you're connected in way, way more ways than you even realize. And it's impossible not to be. Well, isn't that fun? Well, that feels like a good little, what you call a tidbit, you see, for today. We'll give a little blessing that you're able to integrate this tidbit. And we'll see you again at the next episode, my dears. Blessings to you all, and we love you all dearly. Blessings, dear ones. I trust that message was exactly what you needed to hear today. And if you liked it, you know what to do. And if you really want to come to the next DiYeena Live, it's our live stream we do once a month. Head over to the website, avaorah.com, and you can find it at /live. And I hope to see you at the next one. You can ask her your question yourself. It's great. So we'll see you next week for the next episode here on this great series on guides and how to really navigate this extraterrestrial, multidimensional world that is ultimately you. Blessings, dear friends.